All right, guys, I'm back. It's me, it's him, the X to the C. Mr. Mike Xavier Carrigan coming to you live from Tempe, Arizona. However, I'm still trying to get everything to work. It seemed like I had some issues with my my video broadcasting program, and right now I'm not even showing up as live streaming on my own channel, so I'm trying to check that. Yeah, it's still showing me as offline. This is a fun day. Right on. Um, I'm trying to wait and see if it catches up, but now I got to go into my settings. All right, guys, I'm actually here. I'm finally up and running. I finally figured out all the technical difficulties. What a day. What a day so far. It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to make this thing work one way or another. Yeah, because you know what? You have to play the cards that you are dealt. And the cards that I'm currently handling do involve a laptop that needs to be updated, and of course using shareware programming, which also makes things a little challenging. It's okay. We'll make it through it, no matter what. Yes, we will. That's how this thing works. Okay, so we're going to be getting this party started here today. Welcome to the Cognitive Liberation Front, coming to you live from beautiful Tempe, Arizona. What's going on there, guys? How you doing? It's me. How you doing? Yep, Mr. Xavier Carrigan, and today we got an interesting one to talk about, and of course, there's some news that's going on right now. Of course, with the child in chief. Of course, we all know Mr. Mr. Drump. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today, although that's not on the board. That's not on the whiteboard. We are still going to be talking about that. Okay, so now let me go ahead and get some advertisements out there, just so I can let people know that I'm live right now. So my channel, and let's see here. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of wondering, is there something I'm able to just copy and paste that says, hey, I'm live right now? No, not my server. That's the server is for me, not for you. So, no, not on YouTube Gaming. On YouTube, thank you very much. There it is. Awesome. All right, so we got this. And we're going to jump on over to the first one. Cognitive Liberation Front is live now. Come on by and join. Oops. Come on by. I actually spelled it BNY. Sorry about that. Come on by and join the conversation. Oh, I gotta put my little smiley face I like to always put. And paste the link. Select all. We're going to copy that. Post. So that's one of them. And let's jump on over to the other page. And we're going to post that one. And just one more place, because I do have my personal page. Starting to get more and more people checking out my personal page, which, you know what, I'm okay with. I'm perfectly okay with. Yeah, so we're going to publish that. That's done. All right, cool. So maybe now we'll start getting some people jumping in on the conversation here. So, yeah, all right, so we're back. We're back. So now, today what I want to discuss, what I want to talk about. And sorry guys, I'm not going to move my laptop too much right now because the power cord's been acting super funky. I don't know if it's the power cord of the laptop. My laptop is like 6 years old. I love my laptop, but I'm at the point where I kind of think it's time for an update. I was just having issues with a webcam, so but that's okay. We'll figure it all out at another time. All right, so check it out. What are we talking about today? So I already mentioned we're going to be discussing this whole Trump and his thing with CNN and posting a tweet. This guy is such a child. He's such a damn child. Posting a tweet showing him beating up CNN. Now, of course, this is back from the days when he was a WWE lackey, working with Shane McMahon and all those guys. Nothing against Shane McMahon or the WWE, but rather that's where I believe Trump belongs. Is just on look like an ass TV, because that's what he's really good at, looking like an ass. All right, so what are we talking about today? It's actually just one topic. It's just one topic. And it's something I've discussed in bits and pieces here and there. And today is going to be super subjective, interlaced with objective sources and comments, whatnot, throughout. But ultimately what it comes down to is not everything is a business. Not everything is a business. For the love of God, and I'm going to cite Bill Hicks here, if you're in marketing, kill yourself. Just joking, but seriously. Now, those of you who have seen Bill Hicks, you know what he's talking about. Oh, wait, hey, I didn't change the date up there. What is today, July 2nd? Yep, it's July 2nd. All right, so I forgot to update the day. It is 7/2. There we go. Oh, and we are at episode 7 now. One of these days I'm going to have one of those really cool things, but I'm not that cool yet, so it's okay. So there we go. July 2nd, 2017. Talking about not everything is business. Education, medicine, journalism. This really came up when, this came up for me when I watched something with journalism and how these newspapers are all bought out. Not just newspapers, but just news sources. Quote, news sources. News sources. And they've all been bought out in some way, shape, or form. And I think that it really has become the snake eating itself. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Don't forget to check out www.theclf.net. I'm trying to not get the reflection there. There we go. CLF.net, and of course Facebook.com/MXC the CLF. All right, so, and there was a little note over here for myself about money is debt. That was from last week's conversation, but that's okay. All right, so today we're going to be talking about how not everything is business. I'm not going to be spending a whole lot of time on this overall show. Probably, my goal is about 45 minutes today, not the typical hour, hour and a half long show. So let's get right to it now. Let's get to it right now. Let's get to it now. Let's get right on it. Whatever. So not everything is business. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about education, I'm talking about medicine, and I'm talking about journalism, and how in American society, in particular American society, now there are some other cultures who do this as well, but everything has become about the almighty dollar. So much so to the point where unless it's making money, no one wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it. I'm not saying that people need to be altruistic, but what I am saying is that education should never ever be revolving around the almighty dollar. If that's the case, then it's not education anymore. Now it's business. And what happens with business, especially in America, it's all about the bottom line. And that's the way it's been for decades, all about the bottom line. I can't remember when it was, but there was a law enacted. I don't remember which law it was. Let me look it up. Law stating that corporations must work towards profits. Um, let's see. Although I already have some things. New York Times popping up. Corporations don't have to maximize profits. However, if I look at litigationandtrial.com, corporations are required by law to maximize profits. Now, this is where things become really questionable, and you really have to start looking at your sources. Where are you getting your information from? So, could I get it from the New York Times? Of course I could. Could I get it from litigationandtrial.com? I don't know who that is. I don't know who Litigation and Trial is. So I want to be careful about the source that I'm looking up. Let's see. Actually, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I've done this before in the past. I'm actually going to show you my desktop. There you go. Hey, check it out. See all the goofy stuff that I get to see. All right, so you get to see me on there again. You get to see the video, and then there's me again. All right, so I'll move myself over as much as possible without expanding it. There we go. Okay, so here we are looking at the New York Times. Sorry, I'm jumping around there. I should do it this way. Corporations don't have to maximize profits by Lynn Stout. Lynn Stout is here, and this was updated April 16, 2015. There is a common belief that corporate directors have a legal duty to maximize corporate profits and shareholder value, even if this means skirting ethical rules, damaging the environment, or harming employees. Now, a lot of us would say, yeah, that's what they do. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot to transition. Here we go. Ooh. There it is. Now you can see all the stuff. All right, so anyways, even if this means skirting ethical rules, damaging the environment, or harming employees. Now, I'll be honest, I thought the same thing too, but let's continue to see what Lynn Stout has to say. By the way, Lynn Stout is a professor of corporate and business law at Cornell Law School. So, she might have something to say. She might be someone worth listening to. Personally, I don't know who she is, but we'll just continue to read. But this belief is utterly false. To quote the U.S. Supreme Court opinion in the recent Hobby Lobby case, modern corporate law does not require for-profit corporations to pursue profit at the expense of everything else, and many do not. The Hobby Lobby case dealt with a closely held company with controlling shareholders, but the court's statement on corporate purpose was not limited to such companies. State codes similarly allow corporations to be formed for any lawful business or purpose, and the corporate charters of big public firms typically also define company purpose in these broad terms. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Serving shareholders' best interests is not the same thing as either maximizing profits or maximizing shareholder value. I'm going to bring myself back on the screen. You can see me there. This is going to be key because I'm wondering if this is going to be the point where we learn where exactly Lynn, I believe that's her name, Lynn stands with everything. Is she going to try to do doublespeak? Is she going to try to articulate it in a way that says, well, it's not about maximizing profit, it's about pleasing the stakeholders or the shareholders? What does a shareholder want? Why did they invest to begin with? Obviously to make money. So let's continue. Let's continue to look and see what she says. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Shareholder value, for one thing, is a vague objective. No single shareholder value can exist because different shareholders have different values. I could see your argument there. However, and let's see what she says next. Some are long-term investors planning to hold stock for years or decades. Others are short-term speculators. Now, she ends the paragraph there. She ends the paragraph there. Now, this is going to be important. Now, when she ends that paragraph and she says that, she's like, look, there are some investors planning to hold on for a long time and others are short-term speculators. At no point did she say that their concern does not have anything to do without maximizing profits. A stakeholder or a shareholder, they want profits. They want the most possible profits out of it whatsoever. I mean, I don't know anyone who is invested who says, well, you know, I'm investing in this business, but if I lose money, that's okay. They don't do that. They don't do that. So, in no point in this paragraph has she really articulated um, anything different. Now I'm going to kind of keep myself on the screen here while you can kind of see me there. Whatever. Hello. Oops. Hello. There we go. Anyways, um, so let's continue here. This part also. Also, most investors care not only about their portfolios, but also about their jobs, their tax burdens, their products they buy, and the air they breathe, which is to say companies that maximize profits by firing employees, avoiding taxes, selling shoddy products, or polluting the environment can harm their shareholders more than helping them. More to the point, corporate directors are protected from most interference when it comes to running their business by doctrine known as the business judgment rule. It says, in brief, that so long as a board of directors is not tainted by personal conflicts of interests and makes a reasonable effort to stay informed, courts will not second guess the board's decisions about what is best for the company. So, as long as a board of directors is not tainted by, this is going to be key here, personal conflicts of interest and makes a reasonable effort to stay informed. Oh, don't do that. I gotta say, that's insanely arbitrary. That's insanely arbitrary and up for speculation. That is up for interpretation. When it came to the banker bailout, now I haven't finished this article. I'm going to continue, and if at some point, she makes a strong statement that makes me, eat my shoe, I will. However, when you think about the banker bailout, did they have everyone else's best interest in mind or their own? Were they tainted by personal conflicts of interest? Did they make efforts to stay informed? Now, I guarantee you, they made the most powerful advances in order to stay informed, but also ahead of the game. Now, why do I say that? Because I think that there's an easy way to get around this loophole. So she says, again, and I'll go back to this, in brief, that so long as a board of directors is not tainted by personal conflicts of interest and makes reasonable efforts to stay informed, courts will not second guess the board's decision about what is best for the company. So let's continue. I'm sorry, even when those decisions predictably reduce profits or share price. Outside the rare case of a public company that decides to sell itself a private bidder, the business judgment rule gives directors nearly absolute protection from judicial second guessing about how to best serve the company and its shareholders. So, just about immune to everything. Let's keep going. Although some Delaware cases talk about maximizing shareholder value in the long run, Delaware, like other states, applies the business judgment rule to protect directors of corporations that reduce profits and share price when directors claim that this will ultimately help the corporation. So, Delaware cases talk about maximizing shareholder value in the long run. Delaware, like other states, applies the business judgment rule, what we talked about up here, all right, to protect directors of corporations that reduce profits and share price when directors claim that this will ultimately help the corporation. That's going to be key. That'll be key. Can you see me over here? Right on. That's going to be key. When directors claim this will ultimately help the corporation, ultimately continue to make profits. Ultimately, to keep the system going to where the shareholders make their money. So they're basically saying here, what I'm gathering, I don't know if you gather the same thing, but what I'm gathering from this is, look, if the director says, we're going to pause on this just for the moment, but I promise you the profits are still going to be coming, it's still in the best interest of the company. Now, of course, you don't want to sink your own ship. You don't want to, I guess, don't poop where you sleep. Of course, there's other words for that. I'm not going to use it now. But so what it seems to be saying here is, if a director or a board of directors decides to do a long-term profit, that's okay. And they'll be protected from judicial second guessing. That's ultimately what it comes down to. All right. Let's see. In the case of Air Products Incorporated versus Airgas, the business judgment rule allowed Airgas directors to refuse to sell the company, even though a sale would have given Airgas shareholders a heavy profit. It's still all about the profit. So what it's saying with all this Delaware case is, and then Airgas versus Air Products, what it's saying is, if the board of directors finds it more frugal to play the long game, then everything is okay. But it's still all about the profits. So where did the mistaken idea, I'm back here, where did the mistaken idea that directors must maximize shareholder value come from? The notion is especially popular among economists, unburdened by knowledge of corporate law, but it has also been embraced by increasingly powerful active hedge funds that profit from harassing boards into adopting strategies that raise share price in the short term, and by corporate executives driven by pay-for-performance schemes that tie their compensation to each year's shareholder returns. In other words, it is activist hedge funds and modern executive compensation practices, not corporate law, that drive so many of today's public companies to myopically focus on short-term earnings, cut back on investment and innovation, mistreat their employees, customers, and communities, and indulge in reckless, irresponsible, environmentally destructive behaviors. That drive so many. Not compel, not legally compel or legally demand. That wording is not there. She says up here they don't have to maximize profits, but the wording in this entire article is articulated in a way that dances around the actual law. What is the law? The law is, from what I understand, and I'm not extremely business savvy, but from what I've understood, that there is a law that a company is to maximize profits. Now, from what she said, in the short term or the long term, but it's always about maximizing profits, which to an extent I get. But certain realms, and this goes back to, so we've kind of laid a foundation. Now we're going to go back to what I wanted to discuss. Education is not a business, medicine is not a business, and journalism is not a business, or at least they should not be. They are now, but they should not be, in my opinion. So I'll leave this tab up, and I will put the link in the description after the video is finished. So that way, if you want to go and look for yourself, oh, hey, check that out. You can see my Facebook page now. It doesn't matter, though. What's this? Donald Trump takes down CNN in mock wrestling video. Yeah, we're going to talk about that towards the end. So, all right, let's go back to me, because I want to keep discussing this whole concept of education being business, and it shouldn't. Now, keeping in mind the foundation we just laid down with this whole concept that corporations they are maximizing profits however they can, whether it's short-term or long-term. It's all about maximizing profits. And so money is the ultimate drive, or it's the ultimate goal in the end. It's not about improving society. It's not about helping others. It's not about furthering the education of our city, our state, our nation, our continent, our world. That is gone. That notion is gone. Education, to a large extent, in my opinion, should be altruistic. People make the comment all the time, no one gets an education if they want to make money. And that's right, because it's not about making money. However, there are those bureaucrats who have gotten into the system and they have made it all about money. Education is no longer about furthering our intellect. It's no longer about expanding our wisdom. Education has become a factory. Get them in, get them out. But to get them out, you either have to fail them or pass them. And a lot of them ain't passing. Yes, I ironically used ain't. They're not. They're not passed, not legitimately. I remember when I first went to college back in 1995. I dated myself there, but I don't care. First went to college. I'm right out of high school. Right out of high school. Boom. I hit the ground running. I'm going straight to college. I don't want to slow this ship down. And of course, I messed up. But I didn't mess up intentionally. Well, no. Wait, no. I did mess up intentionally. But back when I went to school in 95, it was not the same as when I returned in 2008. I know that's a 13-year gap. Whatever. That 13 years made a huge difference, and it helped me to identify something. I understand that what I'm saying is anecdotal, but it's fact to me because I directly experienced it. I'm not trying to share someone else's story. I'm sharing exactly what happened to me. And in 1995 through 1998, when I was in school, it was challenging. You could fail. There were risks involved. You paid for school. You weren't guaranteed to pass. You weren't guaranteed a degree. You weren't guaranteed a piece of paper at the end that says you can do this. Because to get the piece of paper, you had to prove you could do this. However, now, when I went back in 2008, it seems like more and more. Now, I wouldn't learn more until 2012, 2013, when I started to get into the other side of education, when I became a teacher. Now, I became a teacher at a university in 2009, but the individuals I worked with then, they were still under the notion, yeah, if they're going to fail, fail them. And to this day, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Marie, who was my boss back then. She's like, yeah, if they don't pass them. And I'm like, cool, I wouldn't do it any other way. However, and I'm not trying to put down my teachers at in my master's program or even during my bachelor's degree. I witnessed so many other students who did not put in the work, who did not put in the effort. They half-assed it, and it was all about finding whatever loophole was possible to pass them. And I was wondering, what the hell is going on? I'm working just as hard, if not twice as hard as this person over here. They're passing, and so am I, but why do I have to work so much harder? And at first I thought, well, maybe I don't have the skills. Maybe I have to work harder because I'm not talented enough. And then when I would get into a conversation with these people, they had no concept about anything that we had discussed in class that day, that week, that month, that semester. They couldn't regurgitate any of the factual data. They could not process any subjective thoughts based off of the objective data. There was nothing there. They're just like, yeah, I passed the class. And I'm like, but did you learn anything? So then push it forward to when I'm actually teaching at a university, and not just a community college, because through 2009 through 2012, I was teaching at a community college. Nothing wrong with that. It's not like it's inferior to a regular university, although in some ways, of course, it is. It just only goes to a certain level. But when I actually started teaching at full-fledged universities, and I would get pulled off to the side, initially by co-teachers, or I should say fellow teachers, then later by directors, deans, and they're just like, Xavier, Mike, depending on how they know me. Do you think, so and so should pass? No, of course not. They didn't pass. They didn't do the work. They couldn't demonstrate that they were capable of going to the next level. Why would I pass them? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would I pass somebody who doesn't have the skills, who is not prepared to go to the next level? I would get harassed all the time. No one had the gumption to change my grades, though. But in this, I'm finally going to talk about this on YouTube. I'm finally going to discuss this with unabashedly, because these ignorant fools put their decision in an email to the person they screwed over. So I don't want to be any more vague. I want to actually tell you what's going on. And that is, one of my fellow colleagues at Arizona State University, when I was teaching there, when we were working for Global Launch, I'm not going to hide anything else about this right now. I'm going to give you the full story. I'm just going to keep certain names out. So my colleague, she had a student. I had that same student 2 sessions prior. Now, Global Launch, we functioned on sessions. So we had 5 sessions in a year. If you have semesters, you have 3 semesters in a year. If you have quarters, 4 quarters. 4 anyways. So we had 5 sessions. Now, 2 sessions before, I had this exact same student. I know his MO. I know his attitude in class. I know who he is. He barely scraped by passing my class. If I remember, he barely scraped by with a C, which is enough to pass the level at which I was teaching him. For him to get 2 sessions forward, that means he failed, I think, twice. Or no, just once. Just once. He failed one of these levels once. So there is some ineptitude involved. There's something wrong. There's something going on. He clearly has some issue with passing these classes, and I'm not the only one who's seen it. He passed mine. He passed that level as far as I remember, but obviously he needed to take the next level 2 times, and I would think for good reason. Now, he passed my class barely with a C. Barely. If I remember correctly, it was like a 72%. He knuckled up at the end after I kept telling him, I'm not going to just pass you. You have to earn it. So eventually he did the work and he earned it. He passed in the end. So my colleague gets him 2 sessions later. At that level, to pass, you have to have a B or higher. You have to have 80% or higher. No questions asked. Now, that 80%, the reason why you have to have it, you can pass with a C, but you still have to take the standardized test to get fully admitted into the university. But the 80% was to get a waiver from that test. And he wanted that waiver. She kept warning him and warning him and warning. I remember having conversations with her about this student, I think at least 2 times during that session. And I was like, oh my God, you have that kid? And she's like, yeah, I don't think he's going to pass. And I'm like, well, he almost didn't pass my level, so I'm kind of surprised he is where he is. So it gets down to the end, and I guess he got 79.4, something like that. There was not enough. He did not have enough to pass. He gets the bad news. He's not going to pass. So he will have to take that test to get fully admitted. He goes to complain to the upper management of Global Launch. Global Launch approaches my colleague and says, hey, do you think, maybe so-and-so, we can raise his grade just enough so he passes? It's only this one class. And she's like, no, I warned him for weeks. For weeks, he was warned and said, if you want to go to the next level, you have to pass this class and you have to do well. I remember having that student. He is the type who would put things off. Whether intentional or not, he continued to put things off, which is why he almost failed my class. He barely scraped by. Obviously, at this point, he's not a B student. He's demonstrated this. My colleague responds back, no, I'm not going to change the grade. He doesn't deserve to move on, or he doesn't deserve the waiver. He messed up, and he has to pay the consequences. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is I found out from my colleague, they sent their final decision to her in an email. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and change it to a B. Long dramatic pause. Are you kidding me? The reason why, money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, Lebowski. To quote an excellent movie, but it is. It's all about the money. They didn't want some hassle from this student. They want this student to go back and tell their friends, hey, I can pass Global Launch, so can you. You can get through this program. Why don't you go ahead and jump in on this program? You'll pass too. And if you get really close, they're going to let you slide by. Global Launch, summer of 2015. We have nearly 1,500 students, 125 teachers. And I smelt a fire on the ship. Something's wrong. And I kept telling them, something's wrong here. We had a business person come in and take over our program. This person had no experience teaching, none. She was a business person. She comes into our program, and our very first meeting with her, by the way, chased out the former management from what I had found out later on. I didn't even know what was going on. She chased out the former management because she wanted to come in and make it into this big profitable thing, all about the profits, for the university. About those damn shareholders. About the board of trustees, I think. Almost 1,500 students, 125 teachers. Summer of 2015. When I left, when I left in the summer of 2016, they were down to less than 500 students. Less than 500. Teachers had dwindled down, I think, to about 70. I don't remember at the time. I just had to get out of there. I was like, this ship is sinking. And I tried to fix it. I tried to find the problem. I found the problem. And I'm like, this part of the boat is burning. And it wasn't just me. There are other teachers who are like, this part of the boat is burning. Oh, no, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I will never forget at that summer 2015 meeting, they said to us, in a year's time, we will be at 2,000 students. We will be hiring more teachers. We have all this growth. And after only about 2 months of looking at what they had planned, looking at the way they wanted to take the classes, I'm like, this is wrong. Not only is this wrong, I was taught in my own classes that this is wrong. I was taught in my master's program, don't do these things. Why? They don't work. And I got to witness it firsthand. I'm still witnessing it to this day. That program of almost 1,500 with 125 teachers right now is under 200 students, almost 1,500, down to under 200 students. And the faculty, from what I understand, is less than 30. And they're barely holding on to those faculty. They actually, and when they collected the program, they changed us from the ACP to Global Launch. When they made that change came in summer of 2015. We went from faculty to staff, and all of us are like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" That's a problem. Of course, it came back to bite the whole school in the ass. Because you have all these people now on salary, a yearly salary, not on a contract, not faculty anymore. This came back to bite them in the ass. So now, from what I have understood, from what I have been told, so now I am going completely anecdotal, not even related to me, but from what I've been told, this coming fall, they're going back to contracts, going back to faculty, which is good. It's a good thing that they are. However, for 2 years, that program spiraled out of control, which, by the way, I heard that there was possibly some internal HR problems going on, but I'm not going to discuss that because that's not what we're talking about. Instead, we're talking about how a business person came into an educational field and destroyed it. Why? Because of profits. Because all it was on her mind is profits. It was all about upping it was all about the bottom line. It was no longer about the students. Not everything is business. Case in point, education is not business. They destroyed it. You know why? Because the students, they'll cite the whole Trump election. They'll cite Saudi Arabia having the change of the king and the new king, because we had a lot of students from Saudi Arabia. They'll cite that, all these other factors were involved, and so that's why we lost all these students. No, you lost the students because the word got out that you have a crap program. Not only do you have a crap program, the teachers are leaving. The good teachers are leaving. By the way, there are still some people there teaching that are there like almost never. Some of the people who I was like, I would have stuck around had they let go of the people. I'm like, why? They're letting go of this one teacher. She was a phenomenal teacher. She worked her butt off in ways that, like, I'm sitting there and I'm going, I need to be let go before she does. I should be laid off before she does. She got laid off. It was because of this whole, well, we don't look at it as a performance thing. It's however long you've been here. Oh. So that tells those teachers who have been there the longest, they can do whatever the hell they want. And they still do, from what I understand. They still do. The ones that are still there, they still do. All the teachers who busted their chops, I was new. I was busting my chops not as hard as others. I'll fully admit that. There are others that were just putting me to shame. I'm like, holy God, dude, like, you got to chill out. Like, take a break sometime. These people are busting their butts. They get let go. Why? Because it's all about the business. They didn't want the school to get sued for letting go of somebody who might turn around and sue them. They're like, well, that person has all these little extras that we can't let them go because they could sue us. Are they a crappy teacher? Well, yes, but they've been around forever. Are they a crappy teacher? You need to lay people off. Lay off the crappy teachers. But no, they're so business-minded. So business, they weren't worried about the students. So the students start to see all the good teachers leaving. What happens? They go back to their home countries and they're like, don't go to the school. The enrollment from what I understand, the enrollment for the community colleges in Arizona stayed up. The enrollment stayed up. Why? because those schools, nothing changed. Those schools were fine. By the way, you're about to see my roommate appear in the background, and that's perfectly fine. But those schools, they didn't change anything. They kept good teachers around. They kept quality. So the students still went there. But these asshats at Arizona State University at Global Launch, they were bound and determined, say it was everything else but them, everything else but them. But all these other schools, nothing's changed. It was all about the money, Lebowski. All of it. So anyways, education, it's not a business, guys. It's not a business. Medicine is not a business. Now, I have friends who are in medicine who I'm very sure they would not be very happy to hear me say, you know, look, you guys don't need these ridiculous salaries. I understand how hard you work, but the absurdity of some of the money that you make, Now, do they deserve a higher than normal salary? I absolutely agree. Yes, they do. They should be making not exorbitantly more, but definitely a lot more than the regular person. But it's not about them. It's about the hospitals who have a board of trustees, who have investors, who have shareholders, who have stakeholders, who want profit. They want profit. They don't care how it comes about. They invested their money. They want a return on their profit. What happens? All the prices go up. The prices go up because it's a business. How many times have you seen the information online that you could go to a European country, spend months there, get the same surgery, fly back to America, and still spend less than what you would pay here? It's a fact. Because the hospitals here are about profit. They're about profit. How many times have you seen a saline bag? How many times have you seen the people putting up their bills online? It says saline bag was like $800. It's not $800. No other country is paying it. Our country is. That's what's going on. And then with journalism, I know I'm just cutting to the chase of the last two, but I think I made my point with education. But with journalism, Washington Post was bought out by the CIA. Washington Post was bought out by the CIA for, was it $300 million or something like that? They got some contract going on with the CIA. If you watch the Jimmy Dore show, by the way, I completely advocate for Jimmy Dore. Please check out his show, Jimmy Dore Show. Jimmy, Jimmy, Dore, Dore, show, S-H-O-W. But check out the Jimmy Dore show. He talks about this poignantly. He talks about it a lot. He does a really good job at illustrating because the Washington Post directly went after Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is a comedian, but he has a show where he talks about news. Why did the Washington Post go after him? Because he was talking truth. He was speaking truth to power, and power got pissed off. Why? It's all about the money. It'll always come back to that. It's always about the money, guys. But the thing we have to take from this is not everything is about business. Not everything needs to be about the damn dollar. 3 fields that money needs to just, investments shouldn't be a thing. There should be a certain level, a certain point where these schools, these hospitals, these newspapers, they get a price point or something. I don't know. I don't have the answer right now. I'm not saying I have the answer, but something has to be done where it's not about the money as much or if at all. Because our knowledge, our health, and the truth shouldn't have a price tag. Our knowledge, our health, and the truth should not have a price tag. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Well, actually, the whole CNN thing and Trump, I'll talk about that next week. I think I've talked enough about what I wanted to talk about today. The whole Trump thing just popped up, 2 days ago or yesterday, where he tweets, and we have a child in the president's office. We have a child in the president's office. If you don't see that now, it's because you don't want to see it. You refuse to see it. And guess what? It ain't going away. It ain't changing. We have a child in the seat of the President of the United States. A brat, if that. It's awful. It's disgusting. It turns my stomach, but that's where we are, folks. That's where we are. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up. If you want to make comments, if you want to make your voice heard, by all means, throw them into the comments below. I'm going to put a link up for that New York Times article that I read. It'll be in the description after I do all the edits. But I want to thank you guys, those of you who do eventually stop by. I didn't have anyone pop on live, and that's perfectly fine. But those of you who do watch the video later, thank you so much for coming on by. I really do appreciate it. And once again, don't forget to check out the cognitiveliberation.front.net. And, of course, facebook.com/MXC, the CLF. All right, guys. I'm going to boogie woogie out of here. You know why? Because I can. And I want to. And so I'm going to. So you guys have yourself a fantastic week. Keep seeking knowledge. Keep trying to find out the truth. More importantly, make informed decisions. Make decisions based off of all the things that you can discover, and definitely see if there's an ulterior motive at the sources you're looking at. Remember, guys, education, medicine, journalism, they shouldn't be businesses. Let's try to change that. We can and we will. Thanks for watching Cognitive Liberation Front. I'll catch you guys next week, as long as there's no technical difficulties again. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. We'll see you later.